mean, I don't need yesterday's.
Okay. I'm going to share it with you again anyway.
All right. Yeah, that's good.
Um, so did you download did you get the app too?
Me?
Yeah, did you get the app too? The Google app?
No. What do you mean, get the Google app?
So remember I was telling you yesterday, there's like a Google app where you can, like, it pulls the attendance for you from the Google Meet and records it in like a Google Doc. So that's what I'm sharing with you.
I thought I already had the app in my waffle.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean by that?
The waffle, like the little thing on the side of our picture, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know if there's something additional I had to download.
No, it's like a new thing. Well, I don't know. Maybe we should talk after.
Okay. All right. We'll talk. We'll get it together.
Can you text me? Can you text me to remind me after we hang? Okay. Okay. So first we start every class with breathing. So we're gonna start. I'm gonna start presenting. Will the class yesterday be posted on Google? Yes. Oh, hi, Christine. How are you? It's good to see you. Yes, Christine. I'm going to post the class. I'm going to post it today. I didn't get a chance to do it yesterday. It was taking forever to process, and I just stopped checking. So I will make sure that it gets up. Who keeps getting kicked out?
Siani.
Siani. What in the world? When Siani comes back, can someone tell her to try from like a cell phone, maybe, if she's not using a cell phone? Maybe that might be helpful.
Okay.
Or vice versa.
She comes back. I don't know.
She comes back, yeah. Not cool. Technology. Can't live with it, can't live without it. Okay. So everyone should be seeing the screen. Okay. All right. So everyone should be breathing. As soon as the music starts. Come on, internet. Don't do this. Not this morning. Come on.
Oh, the presenting is not coming up.
And the presenting is not coming up because it doesn't want to load. It's not loading. Can you see it now?
No.
Okay, what about now?
No.
Nope. Okay, let me stop presenting and present again. Okay. Sorry, guys. This is part of,
Oh, Eden said she could see it. Maybe I'm in the wrong screen.
Yikes. All right, let's try it again.
That doesn't make sense.
I know. Oh, wait a minute. I could see your screen. All right, let's try it again. Window. Okay. You are presenting your screen. Okay. It says it should be working.
Oh, I see it. I was in the wrong.
Oh, were you in the wrong?
Because you have your cell phone up or something. It's two different. I'm in it. Don't worry, we're good.
That's weird. Because I didn't even log in with my cell phone yet.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. We are going to breathe in, deep breath, and breathe out all the stress. So inhale and exhale. Deep breath in. Exhale. Deep breath in. exhale. Breath in. And exhale. Breath in. Exhale. One more time. And exhale. Right. So we are ready to go. All right. So I want you guys in the chat box to let me know why you think it is important to document firsthand accounts. Why is it important to document firsthand accounts? You guys can put it in the chat box, or you can use the hand emoji to let us know that you want to share out loud, and Ms. Williams will choose or tell me who went first. But I'll give you guys like a minute to think about it. Why is it important to document firsthand accounts? Is there anybody that wants to share?
Show a hand if Cam.
Yes. It gives more points of view, and what did I say? Oh. It gives more other points of view. That's what I said.
Thank you. Any other hands? Anyone else want to share? Chris?
Yeah. So if firsthand accounts weren't documented, the only source of information we'd have would be secondhand and thirdhand, and those aren't as reliable because there can be like differences in accounts based on what different people saw. So firsthand accounts, it's what happened, and like they're just more reliable than any other source.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? We good, Ms. Williams?
Yes, we're good.
Okay. All right. So we have been, you guys will notice a lot that over the past, what is it, 4 weeks now? Sheesh.
Yeah, it's been a month.
Oh my God. Over the past month, right? And also throughout the entire school year, I'm sure primary accounts have been like really crucial to you guys understanding and learning history. And so the documents that, or the pictures that we showed you yesterday are wonderful ways of highlighting the importance of firsthand accounts. You get to see it with your own eyes, right? So you know, you never have to rely on someone making up what they think happened or their version of events. So firsthand accounts are really important. And as we get farther and farther away from the civil rights movement and a lot of these events that have occurred in our history, it's really important that we document that. And sometimes we don't think about our older family members as being valuable members of the community, right? And so we might have grandparents, we might have uncles, we might have aunts, great grandparents that have lived through some pretty tough things in history. And they are firsthand accounts. They are reliable sources of historical information. And so I want you guys to keep that in mind for when we get to the end, because we're going to be giving you guys an assignment to do. And of course, it is you know, you don't have to should I say, it's not necessarily like mandatory in terms of like a grading component to it, but I do think that it is important that we all, I think you guys will find it beneficial. So hopefully you guys will be able to participate. Okay, so we talked a lot about Rosewood yesterday. Does anybody who was here yesterday want to recap what they can remember about Rosewood? And you can, if you don't want to say it verbally, you can type it.
Cam?
Yeah, I only know a little bit. Is it like when the white supremacists, I would say that, would come into predominantly black neighborhoods and burn them and then like harass them?
Thank you, Cam.
Thank you, Cam.
Irma said lynch mob. Tiffany said the KKK rally. A KKK rally was held on January 1st, 1923 near Rosewood. A woman named Fannie Taylor said that a black man had beaten her, which led her husband to gather men around the town and soon made their way to Rosewood. They accused the black man who recently escaped from a chain gang for the assault. Later on, they were led to the home of Sarah Carrier, who did laundry for Taylor by dogs. This promoted a weeks-long terror campaign in which houses were burned, women were raped, people were beaten. Great job.
Whoa, Irma.
But I was, Irma said lynch mob, Tiffany said the rest.
Okay, good job, Irma and Tiff Tiff. Was that the same Tiffany that was in 3 meetings at once?
Yes, that's Tiffany.
Oh my goodness.
And she said the town was destroyed.
Well, go on now, Tiffany. Good. And this was in Florida, right? And then also as a reminder, who can tell me what the definition of lynching is? Because we also talked about that, and it's important that you guys understand that probably what you think lynching is a lot more broad. So who can give a recap of what lynching is?
James, you want to jump in?
Okay. A lynching would be best described as a racially motivated, at least an attack to kill, and I think it may actually be murder, and it's done by an angry mob, like a gang. So it's a racially motivated gang murder, basically.
And then Tony asks, does it have to be racial?
So lynchings now have become kind of synonymous with a racial act, but it doesn't necessarily have to be racial, right? There have been lynchings before. There have been white people that have been lynched, and that's like outside of race. They might, be, there's a number of reasons like why someone might be lynched. So it's not always racial, but I think in today's time period, it's kind of become synonymous with a racial attack. So good. The other thing is like most people associate, and show up hands if you guys also felt this way, most people associate lynching with like a noose being hung from a tree. And it's really just like an extrajudicial killing by a mob, right? So that means devoid of any sort of trial or devoid of any sort of like official stamp of approval from the government. After a trial, these like sort of attacks occurred. So it's kind of awkward though when you think about it, because lynching was kind of promoted by the government, but it wasn't legal. So that's the key term. Okay, good. All right. So these are some pictures that I wanted to show you guys of Rosewood. Now, also remember that there are, somebody just popped in. Ms. Williams, are you able to let them in?
I don't see who it is.
Oh, okay, they went away. All right, back to the screen. Okay, so there's not a lot of pictures from Rosewood. Not as many as we have from Tulsa. This was actually largely forgotten by the community in Florida because there were, you know, after this happened, people were afraid to, oh, that's Abdul. Did he get in?
Abdul Muhammad.
Nasir, I think, or Nassim. All right, I'm gonna try to, well, if he pops back in, I'll try to be over there quicker. All right. So there's not as many pictures because a lot of people didn't talk about it. They tried to forget about it. The town was completely abandoned and it didn't become common knowledge again until decades later. And of course, the movie Rosewood also renewed interest in the massacre. So again, if you guys have not seen that movie, you definitely should check out that movie. Obviously, it's a dramatized reenactment, but according to many of the accounts, it gives a pretty accurate view of some of the things that happened during the massacre. And there is a video that I want to show you guys. It's a little bit long. I hope you will bear with me. I wanted to establish the importance of firsthand accounts. And now this story is told from her grandchildren, and they have a lot of important information that they are sharing about some of the stories that their grandmother passed on to them about Rosewood. She was the last surviving member of the Rosewood massacre. So hopefully you guys will bear with me and bear with the video.
You got to go back to presenting screen.
Oh, it's not presenting?
No.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Yikes. Sorry, guys. Phew. Okay.
I didn't say anything at first because I thought it was just me. And so I was looking for, I was looking to switch over again.
Oh my gosh. Can you see it now?
No.
No? What? Okay. It's all right. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. It's gonna work.
Oh, here it is.
Okay. All right. Whew.
I didn't have a father figure in my life growing up, so she took on a lot of roles. And like I said, she's strong-willed. If you wanted to hear the truth, my grandmother would tell you the truth. She taught me a great deal, obviously. She's a very proud woman, and she taught me to be a very proud person. She really stood up for what she believed in, whether she was right or wrong.
Growing up with her, she was really nice. She was giving. Being the only child, I have to say I did get a lot of the best things, and she was always proud of me. And she taught me, you know, to right from wrong and how to love. because of her past, you know, with the racial, you know, past like that. And she's like, well, you know, that was then. And so it's different now. And regardless of the color, you still love everyone. She didn't really talk about it a whole lot. She just always said, you know, that they had a hard time, you know, coming up, and they had to, what her mom said, you know, that they had to leave their home, and but she was only 3.5, so she really didn't talk about it that much. One big thing she's like, don't lie. I can't stand a lie, because a lie is it's the part of, you know, that started the whole thing, a lie. You know, just one person telling a lie, and it just created all of that disaster over a lie. We really don't talk about it that much, but like if we mention it you wouldn't believe a lot of people don't even know about Rosewood. You know, I don't think they really teach that. It's not really in the textbooks in schools, you know. So, but when people, or like if we mention it to someone, they'll go, oh, really? And like they'll say, well, I'm going to Google it. And then, you know, like they'll Google it, and then they'll come back and say, oh, wow, I can't believe all that. Did that really happen? I believe they said that it was a white man. I think they said it came from Gainesville. And she always say they say they went through the swamp, and then they caught a train to Gainesville.
They made a lot of sacrifices, you know, that they could have easily given up. And, you know, they all could have gotten killed, and we would have never known about it.
So the children, many of the children were sent to the swamps to hide at night. And there were 2 white men, 2 brothers. They owned a train, and they sent the train down into the swamps to like pass by the swamps. And they were able to get those people that were hiding in the swamps out and put them onto a train. So that is how a lot of people were able to survive, just an FYI. And then also there were white business owners that actually hid Black people in their stores. And they also were able to arrange for those people that they hid to get on the train. It is believed that they only allowed like children and women to get on the train. They were afraid to allow like the Black men to get on the train because they thought the train might be attacked. So that's the train that they had pictured in the background of that picture.
But they fought. And, you know, Grandma is a fighter, and she has really taken care of herself over the years, and that she's really taught me, I mean, not even by even telling me anything, just her actions. You know, the way she goes, she lives day by day. Grandma, she's a fighter. And I can't help but just try to, you know, fight my daily battles as much as I can, and again, teach our kids to you know, be fighters. You know, not just, don't give up. You know, things may be hard, but you just keep pushing. And she's done that. She's been a fighter all her life.
But her older sister Margie, she was like 14, so she knew a lot about it.
Stories.
She really had stories about it, and until she died, she was still like a little frightened, and she kind of like didn't trust people, you know. And for instance, Carlos came home one night, and some white guys brought him home because we live in a small town, and Aunt Margie almost had a fit. She's like, boy, you can't have the white people bringing you home. You know what happened to us? They burnt us down, and we had to run, and you can't be doing that. And so I said, Aunt Margie, it's different now. Everybody's not like that. She goes, well, I don't care. You have to be careful. He cannot have no white boys, no white girls bring him home. So she was still terrified. She really was. Yeah, she talked about Gainesville, and they was going to school, you know, and they had to, she always was telling us, you all are blessed because you can catch the school bus or you could drive to school. And we always had to walk in the freezing cold. You know, we had to walk to school. And she always talked about she would walk to school, and then she would say, the Blacks, we had to walk to school, and the whites rode the school bus, and they would pick at us because we was walking. But she was big in education for us, you know, and she always tell her great grands, You go to school and you learn now and be the best you can be. And of course, Carlos got, from being a descendant of the Rosewood, he got a scholarship and Bethune-Cookman in Daytona.
There was no way I could not go to college and get an education, you know, seeing what she had to go through and, you know, all the struggles to get my mom to the point where she was to be able to support me to go to college. So it just felt like it was something that I had to do. I ended up picking education, but my first choice was criminal justice. But it's, you know, somewhere down the line, something happened and my mind changed. I just felt like I could make a difference in kids' lives, maybe educate them on how to do things the right way. And, you know, just some of the things that my grandmother taught me, you know, I felt like I could instill in other kids, you know, while they're growing up. One of the things I always we try to tell our kids, and I try to tell the kids in a classroom, that you have no idea how good you have it. Because a lot of people had to make a lot of sacrifices in order for us to get where we're at. So what better way to repay my grandmother for going through what she did, and, you know, than to try to educate myself as much as I can. Because, you know, we have it good, and we have it good because my grandmother and other people like her had to struggle to, you know, to help this country make changes. So yeah, I just feel like it's a rite of passage that I try to do as much as I can to help our kids become educated. If you believe in something, you need to fight for it. You know, stand up for yourself. You know, don't let other people run you over. You know, things may happen. People may talk about you. Sometimes you may be alone in how you feel. But if you really believe in what you feel, you know, stand up for yourself and fight for what you believe in. She taught me that, and I really believe in that.
All right. So, and again, of course, we will give you guys the link so that you can continue to, if you so choose, watch the rest of that. There's about 4 minutes left. So, all right. So I'm curious, what did you guys learn from the video about the last survivor of the Rosewood massacre? What important takeaway do you have after watching this video? You guys can, again, type it in the chat box, or use your hand emoji or type hand if you want to say it verbally. And we'll give you guys like a minute to think about it and write down what you're thinking.
Tiffany said children and women survive by hiding in the swamps and then use trains to escape. King said a lie can evolve into something much worse if it's combined with racism, fear, and ignorance. That's awesome.
Awesome, guys. Okay, we'll give you guys a few more seconds in case anybody else wants to type anything. Okay.
Yeah. Edel says all it takes is one person lying in order for something this horrific to happen. If she was 3 years old, she was just old enough to remember it, and yet when she grew up, she still taught her children loving everyone is the antidote to hate.
Look at that. Yeah, how about that, right? Yeah. And I mean, like, everybody processes it differently, right? So, and her 14-year-old sister, or her sister that was 14 at the time, she grew up still being very much afraid of white people because she was just so afraid that you know, what happened to her when she was a child would happen again. So also, you know, people process things differently, and it's just sad that that continued to affect both of them in many different ways. And also really awesome that her grandchild decided to go to school for education and continue on the legacy of his grandmother. So I thought that was also really cool. And kind of segueing, so one of the things that I also think is really important is to highlight little known freedom fighters who did so much for civil rights in this country and what I like to call human rights. And a lot of times the women don't really get their credit. So I want to introduce you guys to someone by the name of Ida B. Wells. And I'm curious if you guys have ever heard of her before. If you have, or if you haven't, let me know by leaving a comment, either yes or no, or thumbs up or thumbs down. And again, her name is Ida B. Wells. All right, so has anybody heard of her before? Anybody know who she is?
A lot of them have, and some haven't. Edel says she founded the NAACP, right?
Yes. How'd you know that?
Edel, do you have a mic?
Does it work?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just I forget when I learned about her, but I remember learning about her sometime when I was younger, and that was what I remembered. I remembered that name, and then like the NAACP was linked in my head.
Yeah.
Period, Pooh. No, that's really good. Yeah, she's one of the founders. And actually, her name was kept off of the list of official founders. And it was W.E.B. Du Bois that actually kept her name off the list. Now, he always said, according to his side, was she didn't want to be put on the list. But she later, she said later on that, no, they purposefully kept me off. And they kept her off because she was a fighter. She was fiery, and she would not stop. And she didn't believe in just, you know, talking about things, right? She was also a doer. So I want to introduce you guys to some quotes from Ida B. Wells. So does anybody want to volunteer to read the first quote from Ida B. Wells?
James?
8 Negroes lynched since last issue of the Free Speech. 3 were charged with killing white men and 5 with raping white women. Nobody in this section believes the old threadbare lie that Negro men assault white women. If Southern white men are not careful, a conclusion will be reached which will be very damaging to the moral reputation of their women.
Okay, what do you think Ida B. Wells is trying to draw attention to with this statement? There's like several little nuances here that she's raising awareness about. Anybody want to take a guess or give me some idea?
Siani, did you want to? Or I don't know, I see hands, but that may have been for reading.
Oh.
Rose said white women are seducing black men.
Okay. Anybody else? And then we'll address that.
No
So, oh, go ahead. Ms.
No,
Williams, do you have anything you want to add on to that?
no, I said there's no one else that wants to address that. I put my favorite quote by Ida B. Wells in the chat.
Will you read that, please?
A Winchester rifle should have a place of honor in every black home, and it should be used for that protection which the law refuses to give.
So that gives you some idea about who Ida B. Wells is. All right. Yes, I love that quote. That just became my new favorite quote.
Yep.
But that just highlights the fact that she was really about the people. And so this quote that I took from you guys was a really important quote, because This quote came shortly after the lynching of 3 Black men, and one of them she actually knew very well. And he was a husband, and he also had a child, and his wife was pregnant with another one when he was lynched. And so up until that point, the running narrative is that the reason why white men lynched is because they were protecting the honor of white women. And what a lot of the information that comes out later on is that most of these lies that these Black men had raped these white women or that they had assaulted them in some way turned out to be a lie. I wouldn't necessarily say that white women are seducing Black men, but what I will say is in a lot of instances, some of the white women were not truthful about the relationships that were happening. Some of them just flat out lied. And then some of them also told the truth, but then it was taken by their husbands or other white men in the community and blown up to be a big thing to justify the violence and the terrorism and the assault against the Black men and the Black community and Black women as well. So that is what she's addressing in this quote, right? And she's basically, so that last sentence was like tongue in cheek. So she's saying like, you know, this is not really happening here. So if you're not careful, what you're going to do is upset the moral reputation of white women. But the reality is, she's pointing out like, this is not really why you're lynching people. It has nothing to do with the honor of white women, and you need to be honest about that. And so she wrote that while working at a newspaper in Memphis. She actually had, her office was burned. It was bombed after she wrote that in the newspaper. So she eventually is going to have to move from Memphis, Tennessee to Chicago because she was facing a lot of threats. One of her best friends that she had was Frederick Douglass. So her and Frederick were also very close. And many people thought that when Frederick Douglass died, she would be the person that took over as like the, you know, unfortunately, there always has to be a leader, right? So many people thought that she would be the person that would take over as the leader of the Black community. But that turns out not to be her. And many people say that her gender and the fact that she also just would not be quiet. She would not be quiet, right? And at that time, women speaking out was not the norm, right? Or they didn't, society didn't have that as a norm because women have always spoke out, but it wasn't the norm within society. So unfortunately, she did not become the kind of the leader of the Black community during that time period. All right, anybody want to read this next primary source?
Kasia?
Okay, so tried to drag me out of the seat, but I fastened my teeth in the back of his hand, which had grasped my arm. He then went forward and got the baggage man to help him, since he's not dislodge one by himself. They brought a third man, and they succeeded in dragging me out. They were encouraged to do this by the attitude of the white ladies and gentlemen in the car, some of whom even stood on the seats to applaud the conductor.
So what do you guys think about this particular quote? Anybody? Kaisha, of course, you can comment on it if you want to.
So I think it was just goes to show you like how the white community felt about the Blacks there. Like they were so disgusted to the point where they have to applaud the entire situation of her just getting put off. And it's just disturbing to see how society was back then.
Okay. And anybody else want to share? Thank you so much. Kai.
You're welcome.
Ms. Williams, you want to add on to that?
Oh, you always get me. All right, so I was Kaisha said back then, you know, I'm always making these connections to today, and it reminds me of the young man who was just dragged off the SEPTA bus by the police the other day. But you know.
Yes. Yes, and they drug him. Was it because he was wearing a mask or he wasn't? I can't remember.
He was not wearing a mask. They just came up with the law maybe 2 days, or the policy. I don't know. It's not a law. Laws don't happen that quickly. But they just came up with the policy 2 days prior, and he was on his way to work. A young black man on his way to work, and the driver asked him to leave, and he didn't. He was trying to get to work and trying to get to work on time, and they called the police, and the police dragged him off and slammed his cell phone and just, really aggressively handled him, and dragged him off of the bus.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And so that's, the fact that these things are still happening to this day is really unfortunate. And it also highlights the fact that, yes, things have gotten better, but also we still have very far still to go. And Ida B. Wells is somebody that we all should think about and thank. And it's also, her story is important because when we think about women who challenge the status quo and refuse to move themselves from the back of the bus, Ida B. Wells is one of the first women to do that. So we all think of Rosa Parks when we think of defying authority and refusing to move from the seats during segregation. But Ida B. Wells did that decades before Rosa Parks. She was actually on a train, and that's what that quote is from. And she was on a train, and the conductor told her that she had to move, and she had paid for a ticket to be on the women's train, and he told her she had to get off that train and go to another one. So she refused, and he tried to physically remove her. He bit her, and then ended up having to get back up because sis was like, "I'm not moving. What's up?" So that's also cool. So now you have like a little known Black history fact. If someone ever says the first woman to refuse to give up their seat on transportation is Rosa Parks, you can say, actually not true. Ida B. Wells did it before she did. And there were other women who did it before Rosa did as well. And we'll talk about that when we get more up towards the civil rights movement of the 1960s that everyone is like more familiar with. All right, so this is just some background information. You guys don't have to write all of this down if you're taking notes, but like just some key things about Ida that I feel like everybody should know. She was one of the key figures in raising awareness around lynching. So during this time period, as I told you guys before, her friend was lynched along with 2 other Black men, and they were doing it all because they were like trying to stand up against a white grocery store owner who was trying to like take business away from Black community store owners. And they were lynched by a mob, and she was horrified by that. And so she actually started doing research. She took matters into her own hands and picked up a pen and a pad and said, I'm going to do my own research about lynching because we need to know about this. We need to raise awareness about this issue. And also bear in mind that Ida B. Wells had 6 children. 6. So sis was out here trying to save the world and also be a mother at the same time. She was also a teacher at one point, and she actually lost her job because she started to speak out against segregation. And so she decided once she lost her job, well, I am going to create a bigger platform for myself by being a journalist. So she began to write about these issues. And in particular, she wrote about lynchings. And she was, as I told you before, one of the first women to challenge transportation segregation. She did it decades before Rosa Parks did. And she actually sued. I forgot to mention, she actually sued and she won her case on a state level. They ruled in her favor. And this was before Plessy versus Ferguson, right? So this is before the government institutionalized separate but equal, right? But, whoops, try to get there. Let's see who it is. Oh, I missed them.
It's kind of late anyway.
It is late. Oh my God, it's super late.
You trying to come into class?
Yeah, we just gonna finish up here. We're almost done. No, we're not almost done. Dang it. Where does time go? All right. So she's really important because she actually won her case, but then the Supreme Court overturned it. So that was like before Plessy versus Ferguson Plessy versus Ferguson. She also published the pamphlet Southern Horrors, Lynch Law in All of Its Phases. And she includes a letter by Frederick Douglass. And there's a link, this link actually takes you to that document in its entirety. So you guys can read it. I'll make sure I share that with you. And she, along with Mary Church Terrell and Harriet Tubman, as well as other Black women, formed the National Association of Colored Women in 1896. And she also, as was that Rukiah Tiffany? I can't remember who it was now. That says she founded, Tiffany, right? That says she founded the NAACP. I think that was Tiffany.
That was Edel.
Oh, Edel. Sorry, Edel. Okay. Sorry, Edel. And Edel's absolutely right. She was one of the founders of the NAACP. A lot of people like to throw up in the NAACP space that they were founded by white men. That's not entirely true. There were a number of white people that helped to found the NAACP, but there were also Black people that helped to found it, and Ida B. Wells was one of them. So we're gonna stop here because it is almost 12 o'clock. We just have a few more things to talk about before we kind of like close the book on this era. And that's, I want to just raise awareness to like some of the last instances of racial violence or racial lynchings in America. I think it's important for you guys to know. And you're going to be surprised at how close we are to those last events, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Do not leave just yet. I want to be able to, one, check in with you guys and see how much you were able to take in from today's lessons, but also I want to take attendance. So don't leave yet, even though we've had some people leave. Let me take attendance real quick before you leave. All right. Oh, you guys don't have to write here, but you're already doing it, so it's okay. It automatically takes it. Right, it looks like it's working. Hopefully it worked. But everybody's typing here anyway, so.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't work, we have it. We have access to it. So, all right. So today is the only day that really matters though, right, Ms. Williams?
Monday and Wednesday.
Monday and Wednesday, okay. All right, guys, does anybody have any questions or any comments, anything that they want to just say about what you've learned? I know it's a lot to take in. So if you have something you want to share or something you just want to get off your chest, please feel free to do so.
Okay. This is for Miss Ridgway or Miss Whiskey, just anyone who can tell me without joking. What is mobbing?
Oh, I'm sorry, you said without joking. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm sorry. Mobbing. Well, it depends on how you're using it. But and you young people correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't mobbing like if you're like dancing or something and it's like, yo, they're mobbing, right? Or am I wrong? I don't know.
I think that mobbing is like flash mobbing. It's like when a bunch of people get together and they cause some havoc.
And they did.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Thank you.
Serious form of mobbing.
Siani, you want to jump on? Do you have a mic?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So mobbing is like when It's like when you're with a whole lot of people and you're just going crazy,
Yeah.
or like you're just vibing with a lot of people.
Oh, like a mob. I
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I knew there was another type. I knew there was another type.
Or something bad.
We are old. Oh
What'd
my
you say, Tiani? You said you don't have to be doing something bad?
No, you don't have to be doing anything bad, or you could be doing something bad, but we're not gonna get into that.
Okay.
All right.
There you go. Now you just taught us something. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. That's not true. You guys do good. You guys do good things sometimes.
Bye, James.
All right. So bye, everybody. It was good to see all of you. Have a wonderful day.
Bye, Simone. Melina, you too. Bye, Junior. Bye, C. Tiff, Kathleen.
Yeah, bye, Miss Wisdom.
Bye, Sam.
Bye,
It's
Pam.
good to see everybody. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Bye, Lynn. Irma. Hey, Evangeline.
Oh, the little crew.
Jules. I know. I miss school.
I know. I'm so glad we can talk with the kids. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye, Aileen. Oh, Aileen was here. Thank you, Evangeline. Bye, Julianne. I have hiccups. Oh no, feel better, Tiffany. All right, so Ms. Williams, I guess we'll chat today. I'm about to get something to eat real quick, and then I'll hit you up so we can talk about I guess the attendance craziness, and then also we can talk about making sure we're linked up with what we're going to be teaching moving forward in the next unit. So,
okay.
All right, I'll see you later.
See you later. Talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.